Hey, what's up everybody? It's Matt from howtomotorcyclerepair.com. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to install a Dyna S electronic ignition system, Dyna coils, and Dyna wires on a KZ1000. Alright, so the bike in this video is a KZ1000. It's pretty much the same for any Japanese inline 4, and now this bike, I had a video on it prior to this video. You can click on the link here and check it out, and basically I just kind of summarize the build of this bike. It's a pretty cool cafe racer. Now it did have a Dyna S ignition on it. What happened is the ignition coils and this electronic ignition dates back to '95. What happened is the ignition coil started developing cracks on it. It failed internally, had an internal short, and it made the electronic ignition pull way too much current, and it just blew up. So basically I'm reinstalling a new system to replace the old just because of a failed coil. So new coils, new ignition system, and new plug wires. Now this is somewhat of a custom install because this is a custom wired up bike, but basically I kind of point out how to do it and where to, tap in the wires and whatnot. So hopefully it is helpful for you guys. Now the main benefit of installing one of the systems is you don't have points that wear out, and you also don't have ignition timing that changes. Supposedly you get a hotter spark. Now it does not mess with your ignition curve. You still have the mechanical advance, and that is still going to operate like it does today. Alright guys, all parts and tools are listed on my website in the blog post. You will see that here or in the video description. You click on those links and make a purchase. You support me at no cost to you. So if you can do that, that would be awesome. If you have another vendor you choose to buy from, that's cool too. Alright guys, there's one more thing I want to talk about, and I want to thank a guy named Jared out there. He's from British Columbia, Canada, and he is my first patron. Jared is pledging $10 per video I create, which is freaking awesome. Thank you, Jared. If you're listening, thank you so much, man. It really means a lot to me for you to pledge that much and support everything I do here. Jared stumbled on my site because basically he has an 02 KX250, and as many of you know, I have a ton of videos on that model, and hopefully some of those can help him out. And he shared a couple pictures with me, and man, his build looks freaking awesome. So Jared, you're doing an awesome job, and I'd love to see more pictures once you're finally done. Now I set up a Patreon account a while ago, and the reason is I'm looking to help support what I do here. A lot of these free videos that I create take a lot of time and money to create for you guys. So basically I'm looking for some ways to offset that cost. So many of you know my family is growing with the addition of our fourth child, Penelope, and she's 5 months old right now. And everything's going great. It's just that, I don't have that much play money anymore, if you know what I mean. Now when I first launched Patreon, one guy made a comment, hey, why don't you just do YouTube partner program and write out the ad revenue? Well guys, I've been doing that for about 8 months. My account was disabled for a long time for whatever reason, and I finally got that activated, and now that the numbers are coming in, I'm like, well, this kind of sucks actually. It doesn't amount to much at all. And the main reason is I'm not getting a ton of views. I'm not doing cat videos. I'm not doing trick shot videos. I'm just doing motorcycle repair videos, and the niche is much smaller. So that's probably why I'm seeing low numbers or whatever. But point being is that's why Patreon was created, is to support creators directly. Another comment I got is like, Matt, you're selling a lot of videos lately. Well, yeah, that's true, and you know what? Guess what? They're profitable for me. They can support what I do here. I can buy new equipment, computers, cameras, all that stuff that you guys don't really see behind the scenes. All you see is the final product, right? And I'm probably gonna continue to sell videos like engine rebuilds and stuff like that, but I can't sell every video. I want to do free videos as well. So here's the deal. If you like what I do, consider becoming a patron. Pledging starts at $1 per video I create. So that means I have to make videos in order to get the funding from you guys. So that kind of motivates me to get out here in the middle of winter when it's freezing cold and I can just be sitting on the couch and come out here and keep banging out these videos for you guys. And if you don't like what you get, just cancel the pledge. That's all I ask. All right, man, I'm done talking about that. Jared, thank you. And let's get right into the how-to video. Okay, so let's unbox the Dyna S ignition. Here is the plate with the modules that replaces all the points and everything. And this is the newer version. I had the older version on here, and it was really thick here. So this looks like a much lighter, simpler piece here. And of course you have the wires, your power, and your 2 grounds to the module. So these 2 go to the coils. This goes to your ignition source. Let's see what else is in here. Some bubble wrap. Okay, so they give you this wire connector here, and this for your ignition switch, and an Allen key, and a new rotor, and some instructions, and a sticker. Okay, over here we have the coils. Comes with 2 brand new coils, some hardware, and some terminals, and a sticker. All right, let's get on with the install. Okay, so here's a closer look at the advancer, and there's a couple things I want to point out. The first mark here is T, and that's for top dead center for the number 1 and 4 cylinders. The next mark is an F mark, which is the firing mark at idle. Basically, this is where the timing should line up at idle before any advance comes in. So it's obviously, whatever, 10 degrees, 15 degrees, whatever, however many degrees advanced from top dead center, before top dead center. Okay, so the timing fires prior to hitting top dead center. This rotates clockwise, or the crank rotates clockwise. The next mark is way over here, and I don't know if you can see it. It's way over here, and this is the full advance mark. So when the RPMs come up and all these weights fly out and the rotor turns, this is the fully advanced mark. And that's the one we're concerned about. That's the one we're going to time the Dyna to. And I'm just going to try to take a paint marker in here and and that's not working out too good, but you can see that so that's the mark we're going to be concerned about in the video when we time it. If we go to the other side, same thing with the 2 to 3 cylinder. Alright, so that's marked as well, just barely, but hopefully you can pick it up in the camera there. Alright guys, so you can see the residue in here from when that original Dyna burnt up. I tried to clean some of it up, and I think that'll do for now. I mean, it's really a pain in the butt to clean that out. Okay, let's make a corresponding mark right here. That is your crank TDC. So every time, that lines up with the marks on here. Okay, so per the instructions, make sure you put oil on this shaft here where the rotor rests on. Okay, so we'll put a drop on there, and also put a drop on these pins here because that's where the weights pivot. So let that soak in for a little bit, and then just wipe any excess off. Okay, so instructions say have the 1 and 4 pointing straight up, and then here on the rotor there's a little magnet. So I got a little pink mark there so you can see it. This is supposed to face left, and then you slide it on and engage it into the weights, and then just spread the weights a little bit so you can get the rotor to click in. There we go. So that operates nice and smooth. Okay, so again, we got 1 and 4 straight up, magnets facing to the left. Okay, now what you want to do is line up this slot with the pin here. Okay. Okay, and torque this nut to factory spec. All right, go ahead and put your plate up in here. And this is for the 1 and 4 coil or cylinders, and this is for the 2 and 3. And this hole should be at the 12 o'clock position so we can see the timing marks. Okay, these screws are JIS screws. They're not Phillips. So I'm using my favorite screwdriver, which is a Vessel here. The links will be below the video and on my website. These screwdrivers just work awesome. I don't even touch my Phillips ones anymore. They just engage the screws so much better. Okay, so I'm going to tighten them and then back them off just a little bit just so I can rotate this assembly here. Okay, it's still a little too tight. There we go. Okay, we're done down here. Okay, what I'm going to do is pre-wire some leads off of here. So I'm going to use the terminals and I'm just going to screw it onto here, and you'll see why I'm doing this once we get these coils on the bike, because this is a custom wiring on this bike, and it's just going to be easier to do it this way. Alright, so I'm using some Klein strippers. These are really nice strippers. I'll have a link to that as well. And in addition to strippers, I have some Klein 1005 crimpers, and it does insulated and non-insulated, and it just works. These work great. I love these things, and they have cutters up front. Okay, so this is a non-insulated terminal. It has a split in here. The split always goes into the valley, and what I do is I load it into my crimper first and then stick the wire in and just give it a crimp. And always give it a little tug. And that's a nice solid connection there. Alright, so I'm going to repeat that process here. And then I'm going to screw them on here. And it doesn't matter which one's positive or negative. I'm probably going to do positive on the bottom side here. Alright guys, so here's how I mounted the Dyna coils. As you can see, I got a 6mm bolt about that long. So I inserted the bolt, put a nut down. You know, I got some custom wiring distribution block here. And then this is the real important part. These are nylon spacers. Do not use metal spacers, because you can see that one of the terminals would rub on this post if it were metal, and it would short everything out. So after the spacers, you just got some nuts here, and I use nylon lock nuts so that way everything's nice and tight and it doesn't move. So here are my leads. I got 4 wires to hook up. The ignition source on this bike, again, this bike is not stock, is right here. So if I took a multimeter and probed this out with the ignition off, I would have 0 volts. With the ignition on, I would have 12 volts. So that's where the coils are going to get power from. And over here are the 2 wires that run up from the Dyna unit. And also that same terminal supplies power to the Dyna S module. So the red wire that runs up the frame goes here along with the coils. That all gets power during ignition. Here are the 2 wires that run up from the Dyna S module for the coil triggers. This one here with black tape is black. This one is green. Again, the wiring is custom, so it ran out of length. We had to solder new leads on here, but I have to trim them and hook these up to here. And the black wire here is the 1 to 4 coil, and this green wire, should be green, right, is the 2 to 3 coil. So I'm probably going to use this one as the 1 to 4, and this one is the 2 to 3. Okay, we're also using some brand new Dyna wires. The old wires, which were also Dyna, were a little too short. These coils exited on the bottom while the Dyna exit the top. So I ordered a new set of wires, which comes with 2 wires, and you actually cut it in half. These boots are crimped on. All we have to do is crimp these guys on. And I already did the 1 and 4 cylinders, so now we're going to do the 2 and 3. I marked how long I need them. So one is right there, and the other is right here. And the reason I went a little longer is because now we have to strip them. So I'm using a 10 gauge slot here on these strippers, and I'm not going all the way in because I don't want to puncture the core on the inside. Let's go ahead and pop that off. Alright, this bike has some braided sleeves over here just for a look. You don't have to put these on. Let me just go ahead and slide these on. Okay, next up, get some silicone spray. Slide your boot on. Okay, we're going to load the crimper terminal in the crimper. I'm using the 7 and 8 terminal here. Okay, so I have that ready to go. And what we're going to do is bend the wire over. Okay, like that. And we're going to insert it, the bent wire, down in here. And before you crimp it, make sure it slides all the way in. Then give it a nice crimp. Make sure you give it a good tug. And that wire is done. Repeat it for the rest of the 3, 4 total, and then we'll throw them on the bike. Alright, so I have 2 and 3 wires right here. What I'm going to do is put a squirt of dielectric grease right in here. And just go ahead and pop the wires in. And slide the boots down. Okay, so let's go over the wiring one more time. This is custom wiring, of course. What we have here is 12 volts on one of these lugs that feeds a relay. Okay, the relay is triggered by the on-off run switch. So basically the power then gets fed to the coils from the relay. So basically what that's going to do is it's going to bypass all the heavy current running through the kill switch or the run switch, and basically give more voltage to the coils. So that's how we get 12 volts to the coils through this, which is powered through the relay, through the run switch. Okay? And again, here are the two wires that come from the Dyna. And this custom application, see I had to solder a little extra on here, but basically one goes to the 2-3 coil and one goes to the 1-4 coil. And you can see I labeled these, and it doesn't matter where you end up with it, but as long as you get them mounted all nice there. Okay, so we got our wires on. Now it's time to do some static timing. Okay guys, we're going to be down by the ignition plate, so I'm just going to kind of describe what we need to do here. We're going to need to attach a wire to this terminal here, or electric tape a wire on here. So when I say I'm timing the 2 to 3 coil, we need to electric tape this guy on here. Okay, first we're going to start with the 1 and 4. So my 1 and 4 is on the left side. What I'm going to do is tape a piece of wire on here, and then we'll deal with this end in a little bit, and I'll explain what happens. Alright guys, so here's what I have going on. I have a test light here. This lead is clipped to the negative side of the battery, and this wire leads to the top post of the coil, okay, which is the pickup wire from here. Okay, so what happens is when I turn the ignition on, I'm going to turn the ignition on right now, when this little magnet spins and passes through this module here, you're going to see the light turn on. See that? So that's when the ignition fires. Okay, now all we have to do is time it. And this wire is hooked up to the 1-4 coil, so which is this one. So we're going to time that first, which is rotating this whole plate, and then lastly we'll have to adjust that if needed. So let's get the camera down in here and get a better view. Alright guys, so let's turn the ignition on. Okay, you can see my little test lamp lighting up in the bottom of the video there. Alright, so now what we want to do is fully advance this, and we want it to just barely turn on. Let me back up here a little bit. What I'm going to do is rotate the motor backwards. Okay, way past that pink mark. I'm going to rotate it forward. See that top mark? We're going to align the top mark with the bottom mark. Okay, this is the fully advanced mark, meaning when the engine is up at some speed. Okay? So when I rotate this all the way clockwise, it should turn the light on, and it doesn't. So we need to back this plate up a little bit. So it's turning it on. About right there. Nope. Okay, just a hair off. Looks like we can rotate the motor a little more. There we go. All right, we're getting there. Let's go back. Okay, I think that's it right there. So we'll cinch these down. Okay, now if we were to do this and rotate it past to the F mark, it should fire. And it does. Alright, so we're good. Turn the ignition off, and let's flip it to the 2-3 coil. Okay, now so we're going to roll it over till we get to the 2-3 mark. Which is right there. Okay, that's lighting up right at the same time. Let's hit it to F mark and just make sure we're good. Maybe coming in a degree early or so, but I'm calling that good. That is perfect for firing it up, and we can check it with a timing light. But overall, that looks really good. All right, let me set everything up to hear this thing idle. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed that video. You're going to see the big HTMR round logo. Go ahead and click on that. It'll subscribe you to my YouTube channel. I try to come out with 1 to 2 videos per month. Also, you're going to see a link to my Patreon page. Make sure you check that out. Do what you can to support me. It's greatly appreciated. All right, guys, that's it. I'll see you in the next video.